Okay, so we have our wicked long strip of fabric. So this long strip of fabric is literally the length of the bolt of fabric. So this is 9 inches by the entire length of fabric. The reason why it is 9 inches by the length of fabric, because we are going to be making a bazillion half square triangles. So with that being said, you have two different options. Option A, we just cut using our scissors right on the fold. That would help with the large bulkiness, or we just go for it. The first step that we are going to be doing is we're gonna flip it this way. And so again, this is the 9 inches. This is the wicked long. We are going to be drawing a line using our ruler and friction pen. So with the friction pen, we have a few different options. Option A, we use this water soluble based marker. So with this side here is for the water base. So any type of water is gonna make that disappear. Or we go with the purple side, and any type of air or water will make that disappear. I am suggesting that we use two different colors. We're gonna go ahead and use the marker today because it is nice and bright and vibrant and you can actually see what I am doing. So let's just review one more time. We have our wicked long piece of fabric. This is 9 inches by 42 inches, the entire length of the bolt, because we want our finished size to be 3.5 inches. So with those half square triangles finishing at 3.5 inches, then we need our Creative Grids ruler. This is a 6.5 inch by 24.5 inch. And it is going to be extremely handy because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be drawing a line going all the way down our entire length of fabric. What's going to happen is we are going to first draw on our, and we are going to be drawing a 4. What's going to happen is we are going to first draw on our 1.5 inch line. So let's go ahead and do that now. I want to make sure that you can see the edge of the fabric. What's going to happen is we are going to first draw on our, okay, so you can see the edge of the fabric. We are placing our ruler right on top. We got our line here. We've got our line here for the 4.5. We are going to be making our line for the cut line. First cut line. So with that being said, let's go ahead and use the blue side as our cut line. So here we go. We have our 4.5 inches from here to here. So let's go ahead and draw our line. Now we're going to go ahead and bring that all the way up so that we can keep continuing. You can see the line right there. I'm gonna bring that up just a little bit more so that you just see that little tail end. And let's keep marking our fabric at 4.5 inches. Bazinga. And again, because this is so long, we're at the very tail end. So it looks like for this wicked long strip, we're going to be marking it about 3 times. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is we are going to yet again draw our, which is our blue marker, because we are going to be drawing more of our cut lines. So this way, we have our blue line right here. We have our 4.5 going across, and then of course the 9 going that way. But we're gonna be drawing a line going 4.5 inches again, like that. Move that right over. And again, we're gonna place this right on top of the line that we just drew at 4.5 inches. Go ahead and mark the fabric. We're gonna move it over again at 4.5 inches. And I'm sure you are getting the pattern here. Again, to get that 3.5 inch finish size, we are going to be going all the way down this wicked long strip. Ooh, goodness gracious. This wicked long strip of fabric. What's going to happen is we are going to first draw on our 4.5 inches going this way. Once we have all of this drawn right on, then we will be making our sew lines. For the moment, let's keep moving. 4.5 inches going all the way down. Okay, so now we're at the very tail end. I'm just gonna make a little X mark right there, a little X marks right there. We're not gonna worry about those because they are not quite 4.5 inches. Now that we have our cute little block drawn right on, now what we're going to do is we are going to do it the diagonal way. So with that being said, we have two different options. Here's option A. Option A, we take our from point to point. So we're literally right on that point line. We're literally right on that point line, and we can draw using our cut line, draw a line like that. Okay, so it's literally right in that corner, right in that corner. Then on top of that line that we just drew, we can then use our sew line and mark a 1/4 of an inch away from that line that we just drew. Let me show you, just like so. So that is going to be our sew line, that is going to be our cut line. To take it one step further, we need to draw another sew line. So just for good measure, I'm just going to go ahead and flip that right over. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do that exact step again. So we have our sew line, so we have our cut line right on top there. Then we're going to take our marker that indicates that we are going to be sewing right on that purple line. Or here's a second option. If you want to get things moving and cruising, we are not going to draw a cut line because we know we're going to be cutting in between. I'll show you in a moment. We are going to be, so the second way to do it is we have our line here. So it's right on our cut line and we have it a 1/4 of an inch away from our cut line. So this line here is right on top of our points. So that gives us a little, we're going to draw our line a 1/4 of an inch away from those little spots there. Let me show you again. So we're going to go ahead and just flip that around, and then we're going to place our ruler right on top of the line that we just drew. This is a 1/2 of an inch from here to here. So we have our purple, which is right on top of the sew line. We have our cut line, which is right on top of our line, our diagonal in the corners. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're going to draw our sew line just like so. So that we have a perfect 1/2 inch right between, and that is going to signify us that that is what we're going to be sewing on. Let's do that exact step again. So we're only going to be drawing the lines for our sew line. We have this completely lined up right on our diagonal. We have our sewing marker and we just drew our line. Let's go ahead and just flip that around. And let's keep marking, placing this right on top, and let's draw just like so. Now we're going to keep moving. So let's get all of these drawn on. These are going to be our sew lines. Now what we can do is, being Quilting Your Legacy professionals, let's leave this just like this. So we're going to go ahead and do our next line. Then we'll go back and we will draw the other opposite side. Okay, so we're going to do it just like that. Let's just move this going up. Let's get our next line drawn on. Bada bing. Boop. And again, look at that, 45-degree angles like right there also. We've got our line going all the way down. We just got to move that just a smidge. It's always better to triple look before you go ahead and draw on the line. So again, right in that corner there, right in that middle corner there, get that 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to do that one more time. Then we're going to do the opposite side. Now that we have all of that lines drawn on, let's go ahead and flip this right around so that we can go the opposite direction.
Here we go. And the next one.
So you see what I'm doing here, right? So what's happening is we have two different lines now we're doing. We have this line here, which is right on top of our sew line. That is a 1/2 of an inch. Then we have our line right here on top of those points. That's at our 1/4 of an inch. Then we go ahead and mark it. And I know that Creative Grids does make a 1/2 of an inch ruler. So that way you could just put that right on top. In fact, I know that I have one of those, but you could just put that right on top of this. And then you don't have to worry about using a big ruler like this. But we are working with what we have and we are just drawing our lines. And that's the benefit to having two different pens. You could even use a pencil if you wanted to. When we sit at our sewing station, it's just going to help us so that way we remember which line is which. Okay, we've got our purple. That's where we know we're going to be sewing it. We're sewing it. And then we've got our cut line. Now that we have this all set, let's go ahead and take it to the sewing station. Although before we do that, we're going to take our backing. So this is our opposite side to our half square triangle. So we're going to place this right on top of our fabric. Then we are going to pin it, and I'm going to be pinning it right in like here so that it's not near where I'm going to be stitching it. So we're going to place this right on top, and then let's go ahead and get out our pins so that we can pin it right on top as well. And then I will see you at the sewing station after we get everything pinned. Okay, so now that we are getting ready to start sewing, what we're gonna do is I have it pinned. So then what we're gonna do is we wanna make sure that we pin it so that way the fabric doesn't get like shifty on us. So then what we're going to do is we are going to sew right on top of those purple lines that we created. So, and we're gonna drop our foot in a way we start sewing. And again, we're gonna sew right on those purple lines that we literally just drew, and we're gonna sew all the way down the entire length of the strip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off of my sewing machine and I am going to flip it right around so that as I'm sewing the entire strip going all the way across. So now, before the strip was hanging off the sewing machine, now it's on my lap because now we're going to sew going this way. So here we go. Again, right on that purple line that we just drew. So let me show you exactly what I did up close and personal right in the camera. So I'm going to flip it around so that way you can see the back side of my fabric, because the back side of the fabric, I'm using a gray thread. So with that gray thread, you could actually see what I just sewed. So now we're going to go ahead and sew our next line. Again, the next line is of course our purple. So let's go ahead and place that right on top, and away we sew going all the way down. Take that right off the sewing machine. I am sure you are getting the sense of it now. And then we're gonna go ahead and sew the opposite side. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so we are just going to keep on sewing. Hi, Georgie George. And I've got my little companion right here, George, right here. So let's go ahead and just keep moving. Again, we're gonna stitch on every single purple line that we drew, and then I'll see you in the next step. Now that we have this entire strip sewn, next what we're gonna do is we are going to cut using our scissors, and I'm gonna show you exactly how we're gonna cut out our fabric. Okay, so now that we're gonna use our scissors, you could absolutely use your rotary cutter if you wanted, but now what we're gonna do is we are going to cut right on those blue lines that we have already drawn. And again, you could absolutely use your rotary cutter. And then we're going to cut it one more time. Actually, no, that's a lie. We're not going to just cut it one more time. We're going to cut it in between like this. And then we're going to cut it right in between the two stitch lines that we just stitched together like that, so that when we open up our seams, because next we're going to go ahead and press. Now, yes, there might be a little bit of stitching right on the side here. We're just going to go ahead and just very gently break that apart. And here are our half square triangles. So we're going to put this right to the side so that we can go ahead and press those seams. So here is our next one, and of course, taking out any pins that you might see, we're going to cut right in between our two sew lines. Bada bing, bada boom. Set that right in the pile. Okay, let's keep cutting, everybody. We have a lot to cut. And again, you could absolutely use your rotary cutter. I am just going to use my scissors for right now. Right down this side. Bada bing. Go ahead and do it again. All right, let's go ahead and speed up our video. We're gonna cut on every single one of our blue lines and then cut right in between our stitch lines. And we're gonna go ahead and do that to all of them. Look at all of our, did we get them all? Okay, look at all of our half square triangles. Let's go ahead and stack them. Oh, George. Let's go ahead and stack them right on top of each other, and I will see you in the next step because we are going to press our seams now. Wowee, look at all of these half square triangles. Oop, and let's make sure that we take out the pins. All right, see you in the next step at the ironing station. Now that I'm at the ironing station, I just wanted to show you, and yes, we're absolutely going to press our seams right now together, but this is how we're going to press them. So for this particular case, we are going to press our seams going towards the blue side side or towards the darker side. So because those are already pressed, I'm going to set them right to the side. So here is our half square triangle. We are then, oh, we got a little bit of our stitch there. So we're then going to press it towards the blue side. So there is my stitch line, and we're just going to press that going right up. And oh yes, brace yourself everybody, because we are going to be doing this to every single half square triangle. So I'm not going to bore you. Let's do a few more together, and then I'm just going to speed up this video. If we were to press on the white side, what's going to happen is you will see that seam line. Not a problem, but I just don't particularly want that. So that's why I'm pressing towards the darker side. And in this particular case, my darker side is the blue fabric. So again, just pressing that up. Some people, and I have been known to press my seams open, but again, because I'm using a white bally fabric, I don't want that. I really just want it to be a little bit more seamless, and that's why I am pressing towards the blue side. Okay, so now we have this really cool spinny thingy. So this really cool spinny thingy is a rotary mat. So what's going to happen is we have our 6.5-inch Creative Grids ruler, and we have our rotary cutter. This did not come with that sticker. My silly boys a bazillion years ago. Goodness, I think that's like the word of the day. So they put a very funny sticker on that. I think it's like a little dinosaur of some sort. Anyways, so we have our rotary mat. We have this is the turntable. Then we have our 6.5-inch square with our rotary cutter. We are going to cut, silly George, we are going to cut each of our half square triangles down to our ideal size, which is 3.5 inches. So the first thing that I do is I make sure that my line is right on top of this line here. Here, let's go ahead and zoom right in. All right. So this line is right on there. I'm going to bring it down so that way we have this extra bit of cutoff. Yes, it is crazy wonky, but that's okay. That's why we overcut and over exaggerated our half square triangle so that we can cut down. So the first thing that we're going to worry about is making sure that this line is right on top of that sew line. And then this is our 3.5-inch marker. And we're just going to make sure that it's hanging over this edge and it's hanging over that edge. Once we feel good, we're going to go ahead and cut it. And cut it on this side. Awesome. Take those little bits to the side. Then we're going to pick up our ruler and we're going to spin it, place our ruler right back on top. And again, we're going to make sure that this line is right like that. Line and line. And again, our desired size of 3.5 inches. There we go. So there is our desired size of 3.5 inches. Let's do that again. We'll zoom back out. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna have these like little bits of fabric, just toss them right to the side, just like that. We have our half square triangle. We are placing our ruler right on top. We are then making sure that this line is right on the sew line, and we're making sure that we've got a little bit of overhang here. Here we go to cut, spin it. Take that little excess right away, spin this again. Place our ruler right back on top, making sure that it is our desired size of 3.5 inches. Bada bing, bada boom. Cut and cut. Ah. Okay. Set that to the side. So let me show you that one more time, and then yeah, we are going to do this a heck of a lot of time. So I'll go a little bit faster. We've got our sew line. We've got this going right over our 3.5 inch. Spin it. Cut that little excess away, spin it again, so that way we have our 3.5 inch for the finished square. It definitely helps to sing, of course, when sewing. Cut and cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and speed up the video. I'm just setting all of my half square triangles right to the side, cleaning off our turntable here. And let's get back and let's keep going. Again, we've got quite a bit of them, so I will go ahead and speed up our video right now. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. Let's go ahead and move our spin table. So these are all of our half square triangles. Now, what project are we gonna make with them? Oh, I know. We are gonna turn these into a table topper. So I hope you will join me in the next tutorial on how to make a table topper out of these bazillion half square triangles. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Emily from Quilting Your Legacy, and I cannot wait to sew with you soon.